I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
I like to dissect girls.
This is God.
We have such sights to show you.
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
I see dead red.
Even in hell. Oh, yes. Oh, no tears, please.
Here's Johnny.
Hello and welcome to Coffin, Fodder, your weekly horror podcast. I am your host, Mike Werby, and I'm joined by my Coffin cousin, Brady Silger.
Hello.
Yeah. I don't know how long this bit's going to keep going, but so far, so good. Okay. And yeah, as I said, we're here to talk about horror movies, and this week we're talking one ripped from the, what do they say on the... Ripped from the headlines. Ripped from the headlines.
Ripped from the headlines.
Yes, that's what we're doing. We're watching one ripped from the headlines with Ryan Coogler's 2025 vampire horror film Sinners. So, the first thing I noticed in the movie, like after the cold open, it shows a power pole, and obviously the symbolism of the cross is really obvious, right?
Yeah.
But that made me wonder: could you hide behind a power pole if a vampire is trying to attack you?
I don't know, because like they do all the tropes with the vampire stuff with being able to defeat them, but they don't ever do anything with crosses.
Yeah, I just thought yeah, it's just something I've never thought of, but obviously it's a vampire movie, and that's like the first image as soon as you get to like where the story is actually happening.
Yeah.
That's the first image you see, and I was just like, vampirism, I don't really know. I'm like, because that's literally just a giant cross. It's like, would they have to like walk like a kilometer around or something? I mean,
yeah,
totally irrelevant, but this is just the kind of stupid shit I think of when I'm watching movies.
I actually didn't pay attention to it the first watch. Like, I noticed it, but it didn't really click in my head that it was a cross. I thought it was just a power line, telephone pole thing. So yeah, but yeah, after you saying it, and it more clicked in my head. Yeah, that is probably a symbolism for, because it is a very religious based movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's the church aspect, there's the preacher, the preacher's son, everything. I guess before we go any further, maybe we should give a brief description of what this movie is, in case for some reason you don't know what this movie is. But two brothers in the South, they're black brothers, which is pivotal to the story. They come back to where they're from. Is it Kansas?
Yeah.
Arkansas? Mississippi.
Ah.
Okay, good.
Well, I guess the Mississippi Delta.
I was actually trying to figure out for a while where this takes place, but once they mentioned the war and that they served in the war, it was like, okay, so this is a little bit after World War I.
Yeah.
So the South is still, probably the South is still pretty racist today, to be honest.
Well,
but
they have the plantation still, but it seems like it's not slavery.
Yeah, it's Jim Crow. Like he mentions, he's like, I'd like to go somewhere where there's no Jim Crow or whatever. The preacher boy, that's what they call him, right? Preacher boy? Yeah. So they come with their cousin, and they took him to their little juke joint that they're opening up out of like an old barn or warehouse or something.
It's a sawmill.
Okay. Yeah. So they buy the old sawmill, and they're turning into their little juke joint for all the colored folks in town, and then vampires show up, and then, basically turns it from dusk till dawn from there.
I was actually going to bring that up. It felt very Quentin Tarantino from Dusk Till Dawn, but it also had its own new nuances.
Maybe mixed with Night of the Living Dead, because the vampires are stuck outside and they're trying to keep them out.
Yeah, but that was a lot of vampire movies. You had to be let in before they could come in.
Yeah, that's
also especially religious places.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate them keeping a lot of vampire stories chuck most of the lore.
Yeah,
and then they just keep like the blood drinking and like certain other, like the super strength, super speed, things like that.
Yeah.
They just keep, and like Underworld's a great example. That movie jettisons almost everything about vampires that make them vampires.
Oh yeah.
Like it's more like you're watching The Matrix. Anyway, I guess the next thing I remember noticing was the snake when they're pulling the car out of the bushes where they hid all their stuff or whatever with the cousin, and then the rattlesnake jumps out. When they kill it, I was like, I wonder if they really killed the rattlesnake, because it looks
really good.
If they didn't, it looks super, super, super realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I mean, I've seen movies where they kill animals for real before, and I always feel kind of weird about it. But I don't know. It's like if the movie's good enough, I'm not as worried about it. I guess because I'm like, at least it died for something that doesn't suck. But
well, it's gonna get an Oscar in memoriam at the Oscars.
Yeah, I hope so. Did you have anything you want to jump into?
The opening when you first meet the brothers.
Yeah.
Like when they're right beside each other, which they're rarely ever beside each other throughout the movie.
Yeah,
I thought that looked really bad.
I thought it looked okay, but I think I can probably figure out what's your guess for how they did it.
Green screen, green screen both scenes, and then they had someone else actually stand in.
I honestly thought they did it simpler. I honestly just thought it was Michael B. Jordan standing in front of a screen with the other Michael B. Jordan that he also played.
Wait, I'm just looking it up right now. It's Michael C. Jordan, his actual brother.
Get out of here. Oh, anyway, yeah, that's my guess for how they did it. But either way, yeah, you're right. You're right that they're not, especially as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
They tend to split up a lot in the movie. Occasionally you see them together, but especially in the second half where, spoiler alert, one of them becomes a vampire and joins all the evil vampires.
Yeah.
I hope you saw the trailer because,
I didn't watch the trailer.
That was in the trailer. I kind of wished I didn't know that actually going in because it doesn't happen until like the movie's about half over. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I've seen the promotional stuff and like Haley Steinfeld, she's bloody in some of the promotional stuff. So I didn't know if she was...
I knew she was going to turn... I thought she was... I figured she was going to be one of the vampires.
That's what I thought, too.
The part of the group that is the evil group at the beginning. But then you see her at the train station, and it's like, oh, no, she's out in the sunlight, and she's clearly just a regular person.
Yeah. Speaking of the intro, when Preacher Boy's walking into the church, I thought maybe it was one of those, like, oh, vampires can walk in daylight like Blade. And because he's bloody, he's carrying the broken guitar, and his father, you don't know he's his father yet. He goes... oh, my son, come in. And I thought that was just like the beginning of like blood splatter and everything. But
yeah, I was kind of wondering about the cold open for Bet too until I realized, like, it took a little while before I realized, oh, that's the same kid who walked into the church at the beginning, especially when you see him.
Yeah.
They clearly show it to you. They're like, here's him with his dad at the same church. But obviously he just looks regular. He doesn't look like he's been through like the worst night of his life. And
yeah, also he has scars in the opening scene, whereas when you first actually meet him,
and he's covered in blood and
yeah.
So it's not. You could be forgiven for not knowing, but as soon as they show the church, you're like, okay, this is the character. This is the one character who we know is going to survive this movie, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So everybody else is fair game, and
I'm actually surprised there was less people to survive throughout the night because
it's a relatively small group.
Yeah. Well,
they clear. I mean, once everybody clears out or whatever after the inciting incident, which I guess we'll get to eventually. But are you a Delroy Lindo fan?
No, not really.
Do you know who he was in the movie?
Yeah.
The old
guy?
The older guy?
Yeah.
Who was playing the harmonica and everything?
Yeah. It took me a second to figure out who he was, but
I love that actor.
I haven't seen him in too many things. That's why it's not really on my radar as an actor.
I can't think of a bunch of his stuff off the top of my head, but strong recommend The Five Bloods on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a movie about like war buddies from Vietnam, and they hid some gold in Vietnam, and now they're trying to go back and get it when they're like old guys. It's pretty It's pretty awesome.
Isn't that based on a true story?
It might be, but Delroy Lindo, everybody was pissed off that he didn't get nominated for an Oscar because he's fucking awesome in that movie, man.
Well, he's awesome in this movie.
He's great in this, yeah. Like, he's genuinely pretty funny.
Yeah.
But also insightful and like empathic, like when they're driving past the guys on the chain gang, and he explains how he like knows half of them and stuff from being inside, and what like a lot. I can't remember exactly the details, but he can like he basically can detail their crimes and like or maybe not so much crimes, more like white, racism, because that was obviously what was going on at that time.
Yeah, he's also a lot older than most of the characters in the movie.
Of course, so he's old enough to remember when it was worse.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. The kid who plays Preacher Boy. He's actually a real R&B musician, and this is his first ever acting role. I can't remember. Kitson is his last name.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, I actually looked it up before I watched the movie, and yeah, is his breakout role, and he did a phenomenal job for the first time ever acting.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I noticed at the end with the end credits where it was like and introducing. I don't remember his name, but something Kitson, I'm guessing, like you said. But that popped up at the end, and I was like, oh, so that was his first time in doing a movie. And they're still doing that, because they don't do that as much as they used to. Do you remember in the 90s when everything used to be, and introducing so-and-so as so-and-so?
Yeah. Vanilla Ice in Ice Cold... What movie?
Probably better forgotten, to be honest. So, I guess another thing I noticed pretty early on was that the sex scenes are pretty good in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is kind of a horror. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Vampire movies, right? Bram Stoker's Dracula also very horny movie, so I guess it makes sense with a vampire movie.
Yeah. It wasn't over the edge, though.
It wasn't like Blue is the Warmest Color or Mulholland Drive or anything too crazy. But I was like, wow, this is working.
Yeah. I was actually surprised. I thought it was just going to be a straight gore fest the entire time. No, yeah. It actually has like side romances.
Oh my god! And yeah, like the Haley Atwell thing after she gets turned and she spits in his mouth. I was like that was kind of freaky.
Yeah. Well, when you first meet the vampires and the one's drooling, I was like, there's gonna be something with that.
That's new. That was actually one of my points that I wrote down. I'm like, I've never seen salivating vampires before.
It makes sense. They're hungry. They're thirsty, and they don't just drink blood. They're literally taking chunks out of the.
They're literally bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
So yeah, like an animal who's salivating over a piece of meat, and that's how that you see like the ravenous aspect of them. But they're not as crazy as Dust Till Dawn or
30 Days a Night.
Yeah, they're not quite so rabid. They're still like feel like people at least.
Yeah.
Until they show like their eyes and their teeth and whatnot.
It's also subtle when you first meet them, because like you see their eyes turn red and then their teeth kind of come out, but later throughout the movie they start looking a little bit more
worse,
vampiric.
yeah. A little worse for wear.
Yeah.
Especially as they get like fucked up by the survivors and stuff.
Yeah. Sorry to jump ahead, but when Cornbread gets
that's exactly what I was thinking of.
His cheek is off, but he's like normal vampires. They'll like regenerate. These guys are so fresh that like vampires.
They don't heal fast. Yeah, they're not healing very fast. Which I guess in terms of vampire lore actually makes sense, because the newer a vampire is, the harder it is for them to regenerate. So yeah, that makes sense in terms of the lore. But sorry, go on. I
was kind of wondering how old of a vampire the main vampire is that like meets the clan members.
Yes, I don't know, but a lot of people have been theorizing that he's actually the devil.
Oh yeah, because they bring up a lot of
they keep saying the devil fall if you keep playing with the devil, he's going to follow you home.
Yeah.
And then literally the kid turns out as the only real survivor at the end of the movie. So
yeah,
that is. I mean that I think there's some traction to that, and I think the fact that we'll talk about when we get there, but I think there's at least one other hint that he could be a devil of some kind. But
yeah, I know what you're thinking about, the exact scene.
Yeah,
but we will get to that.
Yeah, so I guess little background: we got Haley Steinfeld in this movie as well.
What's the deal with vampires?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's Steinfeld. Not
I know. Don't worry, I got it. God damn it. So she is Stack's love interest from the past, right?
Yeah.
So that's her connection, and then we have I don't recall her name, but we also have the girl who Smoke had a child with, who he's not with anymore, but there's still a lot of very much like Haley Steinfeld and Stack.
There is no like continuing love interest. It's they had former love interests that they get kind of come back to. Like,
because they're seeing them again, and then especially because of like the fucked up circumstances over the course of the night and everything. So I guess that's pivotal. It's probably worth mentioning that they're criminals, and they're kind of like on the run, and that's part of why they came back home and everything. But yeah, I guess aside from that, we can just start to kind of jump into. I mean, I guess there is quite a lot of setup before we get to the actual.
Yeah,
it's like almost an hour of the movie before they're even.
I think it's an hour and 17. Actually,
before the vampires actually attack.
Yeah, and kind of liked that. You actually got to know the characters.
What? That's probably why we both thought of From Dusk Till Dawn, too.
Because there's a whole bunch of
half the movie is not even with the vampires.
The only thing I was missing is a titty twister.
Yeah.
Titty twister.
Well, you can't have it all, unfortunately. But
in the promo for the film on their like website, there's newspaper articles like they took down or they robbed an Irish mafia and a German mafia or whatever the other mafia was.
I think it's the Irish and the Italians.
Irish and Italians, thank you.
Yeah.
And then also like they worked with Al Capone and they ripped him off and they came back to
because he would be the Italians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And so they weren't on the run, but they were also soldiers, so they knew how to handle themselves.
See, and it's smart that they introduced that early on, and like his footlocker with the weapons in it and stuff, because when that inevitably comes back later, not in the way you would think at all, though, or certainly not in the way I expected it to come back.
Oh, I didn't either.
But so I guess with those key details out of the way, that takes us to the moment where we first meet the vampires. So the first vampire meeting, that's the opening shot of the trailer. When he jumps down into the camera frame.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just recognized that in the movie immediately as soon as you saw the first vampire scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that they had the indigenous people hunting him and they knew what he was.
Well, there's also like indigenous folklore.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't say folklore. That's not the right word.
No, it is folklore. I mean, folklore. If you don't believe it to be factual,
like the Wendigo is essentially a vampiric, not really vampiric, but a creature of the similar things of vampirism.
Right. Yeah, like in Ravenous, that's a great movie. I love that.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Oh man. Yeah, probably a future episode. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting touch that they included the aspect that because they do that with the African culture, I guess, like when she's explaining the mojo bags and the hates, she calls them, which are not quite vampires, I guess, but similar to vampires.
The way I understood it was more like ghouls, where they're not completely alive, but they're not dead.
Yeah, because she says these aren't hates. So for a bit, I thought that was like the African folklore name for vampires, but they kind of at a certain point say that that's not the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, back to the cabin where the indigenous people are after that guy, and so that means and I guess maybe that's evidence that he wasn't the devil unless they know. But he certainly, at the very least, he couldn't be the Christian devil if they recognize what he is and are after him, right?
I honestly, I thought he was just a vampire, but like the way he talks and like the visions, sorry to spoil ahead, but like when Preacher Boy's playing music, there's people from every century playing an instrument with him, and then the building burns down. And that's when the vampires first start coming to the sawmill.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was a very interesting setup because we don't. I mean, I guess in a lot of cases you don't actually know where the vampire comes from. They're more of like an inciting incident. He comes to the place where it turns out, and that's a thing that ties to the end that's incredible. But we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, turns out these people are at least clan related. I mean, at the very least, there's at least one hood in the house. So presumably the husband is a member of the clan. Yeah. So yeah, then I guess that's where, and I had to wonder, while we're on that subject, do you think that it started with, because he turns her husband after the indigenous people notice that the sun's coming down and they're just like, hey, this is not the time, I guess, and they peace out. So he turns her husband before she even gets there. And then she gets there, and then they turn her. So later on in the film, when they're attacking the sawmill, we see they have something like what seems like maybe like at least 30 to 50 other vampires. So do you think that those were part of a crew that he came with? Or that in the time after they turned all of those people as well?
Originally, I thought it was just the people coming out from the sawmill. I thought a bunch of them were turned. Well, but they're of all different color.
No, the reason I puzzled over it was because when Cornbread goes to take the piss in the woods, and you can hear them like whispering to him and stuff, he looks over and there's like a bunch of different sets of eyes in the.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, peeking out of the woods instead of like, because you can see their glowing eyes, which is, I love that detail. Like the doctor
that was an
sleep,
awesome.
The doctor sleep thing. That's the only movie I've seen that in. Other than that, where their eyes look like that, Doctor Sleep, where they're technically psychic vampires in that, but when they start to like get vampire horny or whatever you want to call it.
Vampire horny.
Yeah, because I don't know. There's always this like horniness to the vampire hunger. So.
Well, it is a very sexualized, like, creature.
Yeah, I've always. I mean, yeah. Anyone who's a fan of vampires in general. Me and Kyle talked about this a little bit in the first episode. You will notice that there's like a very sexually charged energy to vampires, and maybe that's why I like them so much. It's got a different energy. It's just got a different energy.
Wait, so you're telling me the reason Kyle's not here is because he's a horny vampire and it's not quite dark yet?
That could be it. So yeah, and then either way, they got their little crew together, and then by that point, the twins have started their little juke joint, and a bunch of people from all over town come, including both love interests. We have Delroy Lindo's character. I don't recall his name, but he's the older jazz musician guy. So we get Delroy Lindo's character, and then aside from that, Cornbread's there. He's the guy they get from the field, the cotton fields. I
could be wrong. Was he in The Blind Side?
He could have.
Because he looked really familiar to me.
Yeah, I thought he looked familiar too, but I couldn't quite place him.
I looked it up on IMDb and I couldn't find the actor's name. And I watched the credits, but I also didn't really pay attention to
I'm glad you watched the credits because that's very important.
Oh, yes.
But
I'm glad I stayed to watch
the I had heard actually, and I think that's one of the all-time great stingers, but again, we'll get to it when we get to it. Holy crap. So, but yeah, by that point, those are I guess the most key characters at that point. Grace is another key character. She's the Asian woman who, with her husband and her daughter, runs the two. I was like, that's pretty baller. You guys got 2 stores?
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, yeah. They got this town figured out.
Yeah. Also, I love that they, instead of just making a sign and not coming with, they actually come with and make the sign and like get everything ready with the smoking stack.
I thought that was, I noticed there. I think it's interesting that there's a lot of cultural solidarity in this movie. It's like the indigenous people, the black people, and the Asian people they're all otherized groups that would have seen different discrimination at that time.
Yeah.
But all of them would have been victims of discrimination.
Oh yeah.
So it's interesting to see like how they all have sort of an understanding with each other, and they're all kind of cool. And it's the white people are more like the outside element. I think that's a really neat way to frame.
Yeah. Well, the first white person you see in the movie, other than Haley Steinfeld, is a vampire.
Well,
other than the Ku Klux Klan member, but
right. See, I think that might be part of what Ryan Coogler. I mean, I guess because race is figured in pretty heavily to everything he's made. Maybe the Creed movies a little less. Yeah, but he also made Creed. Black Panther 2, and Fruitvale Station.
Yeah, which is a great movie.
Yeah, race is a pivotal element of like the kinds of stories he likes to tell. So I think maybe even this, I don't know, I can't believe this didn't occur to me when I was watching it originally, but I think maybe in reality, white people are the real monsters. To a certain extent, right? Yeah. Because they're all just like chilling, having fun, having their party, drinking, listening to people play blues and jazz and stuff. And then you have these 3 white people walk up, and then they essentially like destroy their entire lives.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Also, when they come up, then like, oh, we're musicians too. We heard you from we're from down the street, and I was like, yeah. There's nothing near where they are. It's a sawmill. There's usually no housing by.
You guys were just wandering down the highway, I guess.
Yeah, but I guess they could sense from what they said, preacher boy. So maybe the devil thing
that's a cool element. I guess. See, we didn't mention that either. That in the opening they talk about sort of like the magic of music, which I think is really cool. That like except it has literal magic. Because I've always felt music is as close as someone like me can get to like a spiritual experience.
I feel the same way.
Like, because I'm not a religious person. You aren't either, correct? Kyle isn't either. So I guess we're just a pure atheist.
Well, he's a vampire. So.
Yeah, we're a pure atheist podcast. But in any case, that is I thought that was really interesting. But the fact that they make it not a metaphor here, that they're like literally certain people can access magic through music, and then turns out Preacher Boy has that ability. And that's part of why people are so captivated by it. I mean, it helps that they sell it because the actor is an incredible singer and he's like, it's a great performer. He's got something magnetic about him.
Being he's a real musician,
I mean,
that helped a lot more.
That's why, yeah, because it's not just somebody. I hate when they do the fake thing, where they just like what was that? The Bohemian Rhapsody, where they're just syncing it up with him lip syncing or whatever. I'm like, that don't do it. Don't do it.
I believe they actually had him sing in Bohemian Rhapsody, and he tried too much on his own. That's why they synced it up with the music, and sometimes it works. The Elton John movie it works in, but
so yeah, I guess that takes us back to what brought them here in the first place. So this main character, who I don't believe ever gets, or no, I mean not main character, main vampire, who I don't believe ever gets a name. Hence why people are theorizing who he is and what his origins are, because there are some weird elements about him. But at this point, him and his 2 followers, maybe more at this point, because like I said, when Cornbread goes out to piss, which isn't that much further into the movie, like maybe another 10 or 15 minutes into the movie, when he goes to take the piss in the woods, and there's all those eyes, which I guess could be vampire magic, but I'm assuming those are real vampires at that point.
Yeah, well, when we see them all like playing music, gathered,
there's a shit ton of them. Yeah.
And there gets more and more. Like, are they other vampires going out and killing
I would think once they send people out, I think some of them must have got. Well, we know some of them got picked off because Grace's husband gets picked off.
Yeah.
So, I guess the first thing we need to mention to set this up, though, is the inciting incident. Is the Haley Steinfeld character.
Little Mary.
Little Mary, there we go, thank you. Little Mary goes out to, after the vampires first approach, she goes out to speak with them to try and see how much of a threat they really are. Because she's white, and she feels like she can get closer to them and kind of ask them questions and stuff. And that's where we see our first salivating vampire.
Made me laugh. Like, see, I didn't know if it was, like, just him, like, fresh blood, because he hasn't eaten, but he ate 2 people before. Like, the 2 followers he has, which I thought those were the only 2 he had, but I guess there was more.
But to be fair, it's Haley Steinfeld, so you know.
Yeah. Also, I was surprised she was the first, like, main character kill. I kind of thought it was going to be someone other than her. I thought she would have been...
I think they wanted to give her as much time to be evil Haley Steinfeld as possible.
Hey,
but it's also a smart way to set it up, because they're smart enough not to let them in. Not because they think they're vampires, obviously, because it's the time period, and they're like, if we invite white people in, and Smoke and Stack actually argue about it.
Yeah.
He said, we're just a bunch of people partying, let them in. And he says, no, what if something happens to her? What if someone looks at her the wrong way, or someone steps on one of their toes, and then it turns into a whole thing?
Yeah.
So,
and, like, they keep saying throughout the movie that, the clan's gone, but...
Yeah, tell that to 21st century North America. Because, so I guess that's the setup. Then we got Haley Steinfeld gets back into the building because she's a part of the group. So she's able to get back into the building where she seduces Stack, and then that's the moment where she turns him.
I love when Preacher Boy opens the door. Oh, he's getting lucky. Smoke tells him to go in. He's like, oh, he's getting lucky. And then he's getting his neck eaten. But you can't see that from when he first opens the door. He's just...
it looks like... Because it looks like just she's on top.
Yeah.
Riding him. And I think at that point that might actually even be what's happening. She's just seducing him at that point. But by the time you get back there again, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, she's eating him.
Yeah. Which I'm glad they did it just like, Smoke says, Preacher Boy, go get Stack. There's shit going down. And nope. he's getting lucky. He's like, did I ask you? So go get him. It's like, you go get him. That made me laugh.
Well, yeah, because nobody wants to be the guy to do that. Like, getting sent, you don't want to... I don't think anyone wants to be the guy who has to walk into a room where two people are having sex.
Especially your cousin.
Yeah, be like, hey, bro, you got some shit going on out here, dude. So, but yeah, that takes us to the moment where Stack has now been turned. And, like I said, if you've seen the trailer, you're kind of just waiting for it the whole time, but... If you haven't, then maybe it's a bit more of a surprise. I guess it could be seen as a surprise because it comes so late.
I knew it was going to happen. I didn't see the trailer at all.
Okay.
So it wasn't going to be a surprise to me. I knew one of them was going to turn. I just didn't know which one.
So that dynamic is just kind of obvious that they're going to be, since they're so close, they're going to eventually be on opposite sides and playing against each other.
It's the Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess that's a very common trope, is the person who has to face off against their own family member or whatever, right? So then she runs out. We have Little Mary runs out. Stack runs out, and then they're outside with which is now this very large gathering group of vampires. I guess we should mention that there's a fight that breaks out at the juke joint, where a guy pulls a straight razor on another guy, and that's why they send everybody away, and that's why the group who is ultimately fighting the vampires at the end of the movie is a pretty small group of people. It's the people that are kind of the trusted inner circle who they keep around after they send everybody else home.
Yeah. One thing about that, after the vampires start causing shit, they find the body, and there's a bunch of blood behind them, so they think he's dead. But he was the guy that got the straight razor to the face, and he just drank a bunch of wine and I guess fell asleep with it. So they threw him outside, and he's not dead, and the vampires are like, oh, food. And then he becomes a vampire.
Right.
And ends up killing...
See, I honestly didn't put that together. I couldn't figure out, because so much happened in that little brief period, where the guy pulls the straight razor, and then smoke kind of fucks him up, and all that shit. I didn't realize, I was like, who was that guy? And then, now that you say that, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, that's who that was.
He was also such a minute character. Like, you never get his name, you just see him losing in poker.
Yeah, they're two characters who are part of an incident that causes all the other characters to have to go home, essentially, so that it can be a larger group of vampires against a smaller group of survivors, so it feels more like insurmountable or whatever.
Well, wasn't Ryan Coogler... Is it Coogler?
Yeah. Coogler.
Ryan Coogler was supposed to direct Blade, the remake of Blade, and when I first figured that out, I was like, is he going to try to do the blood scene from the original Blade in this movie? But I was like, if he did this well in a vampire movie, I want to see what he has to do with Blade, if they ever...
It kind of seems like it's not going to happen now, which is a bummer, because Mahershala Ali would have been an awesome Blade.
Actually, I think...
Michael B. Jordan? Yeah.
He wouldn't be a bad Blade.
He'd be a great Blade. Again, another great actor.
Yeah.
Just Mahershala Ali, I think, would bring a different level of gravitas to it, because he's such an intense actor.
Yeah.
But...
And action-wise, Michael B. Jordan. But,
for sure.
Scary, like you said, gravitas.
Intensity.
Yeah.
And, bloodlust, and, I think Mahershala Ali is just an incredible actor. But, I don't think that movie's ever going to come now, so...
No.
I think its time has come and gone. But maybe I think that's actually an interesting idea. The fact that this is possibly what turned Ryan Coogler on to doing a vampire story in the first place, because his other movies are not horror related in any way.
Well, Fruitvale Station's got a little thriller aspect to it, but other than that, it's not a horror movie.
No, I haven't seen all of his movies. I've seen about 3 or 4 of them, but I've never seen anything in them that resembles a horror element or anything. So
I know Michael B. Jordan. He's only done 2 horror movies. This one and the Fantastic Four.
I'll give you that one. That's pretty good. I guess. Yeah. So now we're back to the incident that has sent everybody away. Probably many of them who will come back as vampires. There's too many people at that party to keep track of them all. Obviously. Yeah. Once we have Little Mary and Stack outside with the mysterious stranger and his 2 followers that he came with, and then everybody else. What are we thinking? At least 50 to 75 people out there.
Yeah,
at that point, right?
Probably with. I want to say maybe 100.
That's what.
Because it gets bigger and bigger. It goes from 3 to 20 really fast.
I thought it was so interesting, the Irish vampire hoedown they're doing out there, man.
That is actually really fun. Also, like when they first introduced the three main vampires, they're singing like folk music instead of blues music.
Yeah,
and then it goes to Irish stuff. So I wonder if they have the main vampire has a connection to someone from the Irish mafia, and he knows who the smoking stack are.
That's an interesting connection.
Because he looks at them like he knows them.
That's an interesting idea. It could just be a coincidence, but yeah, I just thought that was one thing that was not on my 2025 bingo card. Just like an Irish vampire hoedown outside. They're just having a party where they're all singing and dancing, and it's so weird because before that, all the singing and dancing is going on inside the sawmill.
Yeah.
And then now, like, they lose everybody, and they're just down to their little survivor group. And then there's a big singing and dancing thing happening outside. I don't know if that's supposed to suggest that, again, some of the people were taken who escaped. Because some of them, for sure, some of them walked home. Some of them go to their cars, and those people might have got away.
Yeah.
But the people who walked home, just fresh pickings, essentially, right?
Yeah. I wonder if maybe when we first get introduced to Irish vampire, that maybe he's been, like, when you first meet, he first kills the two clan members that follow him throughout the movie. If maybe that was way before we ever get introduced to Preacher Boy. If that was a long time before,
see,
or like
I would
a couple
think,
days before.
I would think because that can't be the case, because that's how he knows that the clan was going to attack them the following day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They have the mind sharing thing, which again, that's a new thing. I've never really seen that in a vampire mythology. I've seen it where the person who sires somebody else, like those two have a private connection, and they can see into each other's minds or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it where everybody in the group, they're like a collective organ. They're more like the Thing.
Yeah.
They're like a collective organism.
I didn't think about that until you said the Thing, but yeah,
they're like a collective organism that shares all information.
A hive mind, and there's like one main mind, but you also see everyone else's.
Everybody's still allowed to function, but they all. It's what do they call that? A collective unconscious.
Yeah.
Where everybody has the same memories and everybody has the same knowledge and everything. So again, that was a new idea that I've not seen. I've seen a lot of vampire movies, but I've never seen that before.
Do you think that maybe the vampires still have a consciousness themselves, even though they have a shared mind?
Yes. I think they do because, and I think towards the end would be my evidence for that. The post credit scene is probably the closest I could give to real evidence of that. But so yeah, at this point, I guess now that everybody's more or less left, I think it's about 7 survivors.
The
7 or 8
husband and wife. There's. Yeah.
But you have Smoke, you have Grace, who is the Asian lady who runs the grocery stores.
Her husband's gone by this point.
Because he went to grab the car when everybody else left. So he's out of the picture. We have Smoke, Grace, the Delroy Lindo character, the jazz musician guy. Yeah, I think there's about 7. I think there's about 7 or 8.
There's Preacher Boy and the girl that Preacher Boy is in love with. That's married.
Right. The married girl. And then there's also Smoke's love interest.
Yeah.
Who is the Juju Mojo lady.
Yeah.
Who kind of, the first person who kind of clues in that there's something fucked up about these people when they come up or whatever. So
I actually loved her character. Like when we first got introduced to her, I thought maybe that's the aunt or the mother to Smoke and Stack, but she was also way too young. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe she was a vampire as well. Yeah, and then they start getting to the bomb.
Yeah, they dispelled that pretty quick. Again, very horny movie, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, we have So either way, I think we have about 7 or 8 survivors left at this point, barring all the people who have left. And yeah, I think most of them make it. Most of them make it for a pretty long time. I think it kind of all just goes to shit at the end because of the actions of one character.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess we got they're doing the Irish hoedown side, and I just thought, one of the things I really loved about this movie is how, God, I guess again the white man is a devil, right? Him and his silver tongue. But what I think part of what makes it so interesting is because what he's saying actually is very reasonable. The way he's trying to get them to join him saying you're all part of this disenfranchised group who society treats like shit. Mm-hmm. But if you come join us, we don't have that.
Yeah.
He's like, we have all kinds in this group.
You can also see Preacher Boy kind of be like, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. And then Smoke's like, no, get back inside. You're done with music. This is your first and last ever show. And he's like, but all I want to do is go to Chicago and play music.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that usually when the villain does the maybe you and I aren't so alike speech, in this case, they're like, you can see the cogs turning in their brains, and they're kind of like, some of this is making sense.
Yeah.
So
I really like that aspect. You don't see that a lot in movies, where it's like you're actually thinking, oh, maybe I should join the dark side.
Yeah. Well, because of it's like the heaviness and the darkness of the period. Like, these people are second-class citizens, and they'll never, well, I shouldn't say never, but in their lifetimes, they're never going to be equal. And you could say even today it's hard for minorities to find true equality in our society, but certainly in the 1920s.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And I think that's probably part of why that period was chosen, was because they're doing this. It's like if you were just watching this as a straight vampire movie, you could totally do that, and it's still a very good movie. But the layers centered around the ideas of racism and inequality and everything are very pivotal. And I think that's what Ryan Coogler was interested in examining with this story.
Yeah, I think if any other director would have done this, it wouldn't have worked. Well, there's certain directors that might have worked with, but he had a vision that he's seen, and he did a really good job.
Dang it, Grace.
Dang it, Grace.
That was like the thought I had. Like, as soon as her husband gets lost, and you see, especially once she sees that he's literally out there with the other vampires, because he's one of the, like Stack, and the little Mary Haley Steinfeld's character, he is also one of the ones that approaches and tries to convince them to just come out or let them in or whatever. So now that she's lost her husband, and I guess it's worth mentioning that they threaten her daughter as well, because again, that's about the collective unconscious they all shared. He's like, the head vampire immediately knows that the person to threaten is their daughter.
Mm-hmm. And like, even if they don't kill the people in the barn, but like the vampires literally could, because they're not that far away from where they met Grace and her husband and the daughter. I can't remember the daughter's name. But, like, the vampires could literally, it's still nighttime, travel fast enough to kill her, or turn her and then show her mom. It's like, hey, join us. I think the mom probably would have been like, oh, bite me, I want to be with my family.
Right.
But then she torches him with a Molotov cocktail, and instead of, like, him throwing her off, she literally chokes him, so, like, they burn together.
Yeah, which is I thought that reminded me of Lost, actually, when Sun and Jin die. I don't know if you were a Lost fan, bud. Oh yeah, so yeah, Grace is the character who eventually breaks the I guess it's sort of a siege situation up until that point, but Grace is the character that breaks the siege by finally losing her shit and just saying, "Come on in" to the vampires, and Smoke tries to stop her, but she bites his arm. And well, that's the end of that chapter. So yeah, the vampires attack, and boy, do they attack! That is a wild man. That's like a 300 level face-off.
Oh yeah.
Like, they're so outnumbered.
But they still hold their own for a couple minutes. Like, there's a bunch of, kill a bunch of vampires, and then, I'm like, wow, I thought the vampires would just go, like, you're dead.
Yeah, that's when, once she says that, and I saw them all coming, I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, is anyone going to live through this movie? And I was like, okay, wait, Preacher Boy's going to live through this movie. So, I'm like, at least one character's going to live. I don't know how it's going to happen, but... Yeah, and that's actually where they lose... They lose almost all their survivors in just that attack.
Yeah.
So, I think the only two characters that survive that attack... I mean, I guess it's probably we should talk about that Smoke is forced to... he makes that promise to...
Stack.
No, not Stack, but his...
his wife about... or his love interest that he has to stab through the heart.
He sticks with it, and he follows through on it, and ends up killing the woman he loves after she asked him to.
Also, Little Mary and Stack both, he actually killed her. Like, their faces look generally sad. Because
they're still, despite the fact that they're vampires, they still have their human memories, and they remember her and who she is, and they care about her. Mm-hmm. And they wanted her to be one of them.
Yeah.
Not. So it's like the vampires on Buffy, right? Like the twisted version of humanity, where it's like the thing, you still have the same thoughts and emotions, but they're kind of twisted through this dark lens or whatever.
It almost felt like they weren't just out to feed, they wanted to make people immoral to a point. Like, they can still die, but
I think a lot of what this movie's about is sort of like what Midnight Mass is about. It's like not just about making vampires, it's about building a community of vampires, right?
Do you recall the movie Daybreak? Where almost everyone in the world's a vampire.
There's like a vampire society, yeah.
Yeah, everyone, they're running out of blood, and there's only like a couple people, humans left that they can actually get blood from. So they like treat them like kings. That's
sort of what I was thinking of as in terms of the guys, anytime they're like, oh, we're the vampires, we'll just take over the world. I'm like, okay, but then you guys are gonna run out of food eventually, and then you guys are just going to start eating each other, I guess? I don't know. That's always the thing I wonder about with these plans, and I guess that's what Daybreak's kind of exploring. But since we're already talking about the one finale, man, the music!
Oh my god. Best soundtrack I've heard in a long time.
The music, like the whole movie has a good soundtrack, but holy fuck, the music that plays, it has that like 30 Days a Night or 28 Days Later, that sort of like really heavy, dark, intense music that you're like, this is all about to get fucked.
Fight music, that is really good fight music.
It's so heavy and it's so brutal, and man, it really, really stood out to me. But because we're talking about the finales, we should also probably mention that there's 2 finales. It's fucking awesome, man. The double finale?
That I didn't expect that.
And they're bangers. Both of them are just banger fucking finales.
I don't know which one I liked better. They were both amazing. I think I may favor the second ending a little more.
I mean, they're both great, but the second one is just baller as hell, man. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, I guess the only 2 characters who are still alive after the vampire attack are now it's just Smoke and Preacher Boy. Who are basically the only characters who are still around. Delorindo sacrifices himself to try and give them a bit more time.
I was sad by that. Like, I knew it had to happen because there wasn't very many people left, and
he's the old guy.
He also explains, like, I fought my demons, I've saw the devil.
Yeah.
I'm gonna help you guys get safety, and then Smoke and Stack, I'm fighting on the balcony, and
the implication is, of course, that Smoke kills Stack, and that's important because that figures into the kind of post credits and all the other like a few different things that they touch on. But yeah, so basically our first finale is Smoke and Preacher Boy are the 2 characters who are still alive. Smoke kind of like pushes Preacher Boy out the window of the sawmill so he can fight Stack, and then that's where those characters are kind of left for a bit until Preacher Boy is stuck outside, and all the vampires are approaching him, led by, of course, the main vampire, who can like sort of smell that like song magic in him.
Yeah. Which is a cool touch.
I love that as an idea, that he's like, you're going to open all of our minds to this, like, it's almost like a hippie thing.
Yeah.
Once we hear your music, man, you're going to open our minds, or whatever, right?
I also love that throughout the movie, Preacher Boy, Smoke and Stack are telling him, the guitar we got you, we won off of, I can't remember the musician's name, but they won it in a poker game. And then after Stack becomes a vampire and Smoke's like... Preacher Boy hits the main vampire in the head and puts the guitar piece in the head. He is like, yeah, no, this was our dad's. It meant more to us than it did to winning it from some guy.
That is a pivotal plot payoff, though. Like, having... That is like one of the... That's like a perfect Chekhov's gun, because because the guitar doesn't even seem like a weapon.
Mm.
And it turns out it's the weapon, it's the weapon that fucks them all up, because it hits him in the head, and it's part of the instrument.
And it's also silver too.
And they all feel it, and you see them all like that. Again, that's a cool aspect of the collective unconscious. Their leader gets attacked, and he gets hit with silver, so they're all feeling it in their own skulls.
Yeah, I love that because they brought the whole like hive mind thing together.
So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just like it's a positive only. They show that it's also a negative.
Also, when the sun starts coming up, every other vampire just burns like a normal vampire, but he starts turning into like a flaming tornado.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, yeah. So right before the main vampire is about to get him, Smoke emerges and stabs him in the back with a stake.
Yeah.
And then you see that the sun is starting to come up around them. And then, of course, yeah, that leads to them all bursting into flames. But the final vampire, the main vampire, doesn't burn like the others. And then he sort of turns like a tornado of flames before he dies. And you see, like, the last wisps of it kind of circling and echoing into the sky. Mm-hmm. And that suggests that there's something different about him, that he's not just a vampire.
Maybe he's the embodiment of the devil.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think that there's definitely something, whether he's literally meant to be the devil or if he's meant to be the embodiment or a symbol of that.
I'm more thinking he might just be, like, the embodiment.
Like thematically he's the devil, even if he's not the literal devil.
Yeah. But it could go either way.
Yeah.
And I don't think this movie really needs a sequel. But if it does, I'd like to see more about the origin of the main vampire.
It doesn't matter ultimately, because the character serves the same purpose whether he's literally the devil or not. So, but yeah, that kind of takes us back to the cold open where Preacher Boy is sent home with his broken guitar, but Smoke is still alive. Mm-hmm. So, and you know what I was thinking? Having seen the trailer and having seen all the commercials on TV, I was like, where the fuck was that money shot of Michael B. Jordan walking towards the camera, lighting it up with that machine gun? And finally, we get it. Like, once he goes back to the Foot Locker and you see the machine gun, I'm like, yes! Because, you've seen enough movies and enough trailers to know that sometimes the money shot or the cool thing they put in the trailer just literally isn't in the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, no fucking way they did that. I'm like, that was the money shot that ended every TV spot, every commercial, every trailer. And then it's like, it's such a perfect way to plant the seed for the finale, because they told him tomorrow morning they're going to come and burn this place down and kill all of you. And he's kind of lost everything anyway. So he's like, cool, well, here they come. Let's fucking see what happens. Right?
Bye-bye, Klansman. Actually, I love throughout the movie, they keep him and Smoke and Stack keep talking about, like, the trunk. And at one point, when they open the club, it's like, did you bring the trunk inside? No, I thought you were going to do that.
Right.
And then it's like,
hence why they couldn't use it during that.
And if they used it during the vampire stuff, what happens next would not be able to happen.
It's a perfect setup, because they've lined up all the pieces for all of it, but you don't necessarily realize how it's going to all come together. Mm-hmm. But then, we get to the second finale now, is Smoke versus the racist. The Klansmen.
They get the smoke.
Yeah. And he kills all of them. It's like 20 to 30 guys at least.
Oh, yeah. And he just using a Browning, just walking through, and they're all got shotguns and being racist and stuff. He's
the fact that he starts off in the woods with his rifle, and starts picking them off before because he was in war. He knows.
Oh yeah, that was probably his gun.
That's what I mean. That's why they got the lockers, right?
Yeah,
there's 2 lockers for the 2 of them who were in that war together. So. But then, finally we get the Tommy gun, and he just starts lighting them up with that. Oh my god!
So also, I love that he drops the drum mag and grabs the stick mags out of his pouch that he took out of the locker. That was so cool.
It's amazing, and again, it's a perfect setup, because they say they were literally both soldiers and they're gangsters, so they have a lot of experience, and they were in Chicago with Al Capone.
The typewriters, they got the Tommy guns.
Everything
Chicago
lines
typewriters,
up.
It makes sense.
Everything lines up, and unfortunately, Smoke takes a shot during the exchange, but man, is it satisfying watching him just light those motherfuckers up, man.
I loved how he's seeing his lover and his baby as he's starting to bleed out, and the racist, I'll give you all the money I have, and he just grabs the Tommy gun again and goes
just unloads
an entire clip into
which is amazing, because that's the only guy who's left, and you're like, no way this fucking fat piece of shit racist piece of fucking garbage is gonna get to live. He's like the villain. He's like basically the villain of the movie after the vampires are dead. Like, no way, he gets to live after all the rest of them are dead. And then I love that he starts slipping into, like, the post-death vision. And it's essentially like, will you shut the fuck up and let me just pass into the afterlife? Yeah. He just unloads that machine gun on him.
I think that's the perfect end for Smoke, too, because he went from being the super serious one, I want to get down to business right away, and then he's the one that inevitably wants, I want to go slow, I want to see you guys before I pass. And then he passes, and eventually probably sees them wherever he ends up. Okay.
So, yeah, that's essentially the end of the movie, for all intents and purposes, with the exception of when we get what we get in the stinger scene. Mm-hmm. So, now it's time to get to the fucking stinger scene. So, yeah, Preacher Boy's the only one who lives. We see that Preacher's the only one who lives, and I think this is before the credits where we see him drive off? Or is that after?
That's after the...
So they leave it open then?
Yeah.
They leave it open what choice he's going to make.
Yeah, you don't know if he's going to... Because he still has the broken guitar handle.
And he won't drop it. Like his father, the preacher, keeps saying, drop it, boy, drop it, come back to pure good life or whatever, right? And then, oh, man, I feel so sorry for the people who didn't stay around for this scene, because it's like... I don't know if it's the best stinger scene ever, because I just watched this movie like 3 days ago, so it's still living pretty strongly, and, you got the recency bias. But certainly, if I was making a list of the best stingers ever, it would be top 5, top 10 for sure.
It's one you don't expect, like, at all. Like, you
assume that those characters, they don't show them dying smartly, but you just assume because everybody else died when the sun came up, that they're dead also.
Like, I in my mind, I thought I seen Michael B. Jordan's Stack dying in there. And, like, it just clicked in my head. It's like, oh, all the vampires are outside, but where did Little Mary and Stack go? Mm-hmm. Unless they stayed in the building until the sun went down and then ventured off on their own, and
presumably Stack explains that Smoke spared him.
Just don't kill Preacher Boy.
Yeah, just leave Preacher Boy alone, let him live his life, and then he keeps his promise, because that's what the stinger scene is. It's him and Little Mary coming to see him. And I love the 90s style because it's so perfect. Bro, he's dressed like Fresh Prince, man.
Yeah. Also the giant ring, or hand ring that says Stack on it. That was awesome.
It's such a perfect attention to detail. Like, if you were an actual 90s kid and you're old enough to remember this shit, it's not like a lot of movies do the phony, like the flashbacks feel really phony, but this felt like really legit, so.
Yeah, it didn't feel forced at all either.
Yeah, and I like that they chose the 90s too. They didn't do it where they set it in the 40s and then they have the modern just be like our time. Because that's super easy.
Oh, yeah.
And cheap to do. So they're like, no, we're doing period piece, and then even the stinger scene is also a period, just a different period.
Yeah, and if he was still a musician, he'd still be alive from when he was essentially a kid in the 90s. That he's that age,
right?
And probably one of the best blues musicians in the world.
And it's perfect because they do the Crossroads theme and set up for like the legendary musician and his broken guitar. It's so perfect. But yeah, and I like that they leave him in peace too. Yeah. After they come back and they hang out, and that's like a 5 to 7 minute scene. Like it's
oh yeah,
it's not just like an MCU thing where it's like, that's right, I'm the Hulk or whatever, and then it's just like the end. It's like a real dramatic scene.
Yeah, you could tell Stack's excited to see his cousin, who he probably hasn't seen in a long time.
Well, literally
he has all of his records, he's followed his music for a long time, which is a really cool detail. It's not like, we'll be back.
And the last version of his family too.
Yeah.
The last real version of his family with his brother dead and their parents dead and,
Oh, yeah. And then Preacher Boy explained, like, that was the best day of my life and the worst day of my life.
That was something else I had in my notes, because I thought it was really interesting that the wistfulness of Stack when he comes back, when he was like, for a few hours there, we felt like we were really free. And I almost right at the end of the movie, I almost started, and maybe that was the purpose of that line, was to like hit the emotional chord as hard as possible.
Oh yeah,
because I teared up and
I teared up a little bit too,
because I was like, wow. And it's interesting because the last you see of two of the villains essentially is that they're sort of peaceful and they're able to function outside of, like, the hive is gone, their leader is gone, and these two characters are still able to function. So that's why, as we were talking about earlier, that's why I think they're able to function individually, because otherwise they would have all died as one organism, essentially.
I wonder if maybe Stack became what Irish Vampire was, where if he controls a hive, but, like, Little Mary, she's, like, seems like they're just in love.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think they were I think because his power was so great, they were kind of under his spell.
Yeah.
But with his death, like, they can still function, because they established that early on, too. If you kill the main vampire, you don't save the other ones. They'll still get to live. So, but that's, man, what a perfect button ending on this movie. And then that's where the fucking ending title card comes up, because that's the real end of the movie.
Yeah.
It's just, basically a perfect movie. And
I have nothing bad to say about it.
And I'm not just saying that because I picked it, but man, what a perfect movie. I struggled, but I guess for our little quick final thoughts segment here, I struggled when I was reviewing on Letterboxd 4.5 or 5 out of 5. And then I eventually just hit 5. I'm like, that's the best thing I've seen this year, I think.
I'm going to say it's the best thing I've seen in a long time for an action musical and horror movie. Yeah,
for, like, in terms specifically of a new movie, because obviously Bram Stoker's Dracula is, like, this longtime favorite of mine, and that was the last Mike episode we did. And obviously I love that movie too, but in terms of a new movie that I've seen this year, that's the best new movie I've seen in 2025.
Yeah, I will agree with you.
And it's not even close.
And it just came out too. Like, it's brand new. I don't think I looked on YouTube to see if, like, anyone talked about it. There's barely anyone talking about it yet. So I don't know if maybe it's so new that people are waiting till it comes out Blu-ray to talk about it.
Well, I think people probably don't want to kill it to a certain point, like ruin the plot points, but also I think even as we're recording this, it's, like, been out for about 3 weeks maybe.
I think the 18th.
Yeah, so anyway, great film. So I mean, we're both on the same page here.
Mike, you picked a really, really good movie.
I love to hear it.
And I picked a really, really bad movie, and I love to hear it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that takes us to the end of our a little bit more long-winded than usual podcast, especially since there's only the two of us. Yeah.
And the last time there was only two of us was you and Kyle for Bram Stoker.
Yeah, so now we've come full circle. So since Kyle isn't here this week to record this episode, we're going to have to get creative in terms of what the next movie is. Luckily, we actually do know what the next movie is. So I'm going to be me, and Brady's going to be Kyle, and Kyle, what are we talking about next week?
Well, since our parents are out, The Babysitter.
Excellent. I hope Kyle appreciates that impersonation.
I'm also a vampire.
And scene. So until then, we'll see you in
7 days.
And until then,
keep your eyes open.
And we're out.